Right, hello again. This is the next batch of the RCS PTM screencasts for Term 3 first years. So what I want to do before we go on to modelling in 3D is I want you to have a look at an existing drawing. So I want you to go and download the Chandler Studio Theatre from the portal. You should know where it is. Production resources in portal. And we're just going to have a look at this, and then I'm going to give you a couple of little tasks for you to send me. So when you open up the Chandler, you should start to be aware of how the drawing opens up. The drawing will open up in the last format that it was saved in. So I've saved it with these particular items in view and in the design layer with the floor layer active, so that's how it's opened. If I chose to save it in the 1-25A1 sheet layer, for example, and we should know the difference between sheet layers and design layers now, then it would open up like this. So what I want to show you is a couple of things and some areas where people get confused. So in the design layer, there's the navigation down on your right hand side here, and I can see that there's classes and layers, these two little buttons here. I'll try and zoom in on this when I'm editing the screencast so it's a bit clearer. But if not, you should be able to see the classes, which should all be on except for the section line, which I can turn on and off. So the section line's off just because it's a little bit annoying. Section line, incidentally, is the line that defines the section, unsurprisingly, in one of the sheet layers. So keep that off just now. So generally we tend to use layers for almost everything at RCS. So a good way to start is to check that all the classes are on, and then you can go to the layers. So each layer here has a visibility, visible, invisible, and grey. The layer options is important here, and the filter. We can kind of ignore it at the moment. So layer options is important. So it says show, snap, and modify others. The little tick here is the active layer. So the floor is the active layer at the moment. If I drew another shape, it would go straight into the floor layer. So again, if you're creating things, if you're creating something in LX layer, make sure you activate that layer before drawing, because you can see that thing that I put down there, that was a light that I'd drawn out of the library, then it would go straight into the LX layer. That's a far easier process than drawing an object and then having to change it onto whatever layer it should be on. Of course you can do that, but wouldn't it be easier to have the active layer on first, and then when you're drawing do things in that sequence. So anyway, with show, snap, modify others on, I can make the layers active, and as you would imagine, I can see, I can snap to. So even though that's the catwalks, I can snap to the seats, and I can modify. So I can go and move the seats if I want to. Don't do that. This is a cascading control. So as you might imagine, again, a show snap others means that I can see the others and snap to the others, but this time I can't move those seats, which is a good thing. We go down to show others, which means I can see them, but I'm not going to have any snapping there. Grey all the other layers, so I'm greying the other layers, so I'm only seeing the catwalks and greying everything else, but I can snap to things again. Snap, snap, snap. Grey others, meaning there's no snapping this time. See, nothing happens on my cursor when I move around there. Again, I'll try and zoom in on this. And the top one, active only. Active only is useful for checking that things are on the right class and layer. So by clicking down here, I can see that there's a permanent seating on the permanent seating layer. That's right. I can see the dimmer outlets, even though the layer is invisible. When I put a tick on it, I can temporarily see it. So that's right. All the LX hanging positions here. If I click on those, see they are a hanging position. The catwalk structure are just solids, so they're not really hanging positions. The catwalks, the things we walk on, tab track around the outside. Galleries is the upper level walls, the seating bank, which is retractable, so not including the permanent seating. So that's there so that we can have the seating off and the permanent seating in. So seating there, walls, ground level walls and pillars. Focus zones again is done by LX and is in there, normally switched off, and the floor doesn't have anything on it. That's where I would expect the design layer to exist. So when the designers are putting their stuff in, kind of start on the floor and then sort it out from there. Maybe that should be design or something. Don't know. So classes work exactly the same, but like I say, I'm trying to get people to use what is the focus zones on? They shouldn't be on. Oh, so that's focus zones. It's dimmer outlets I'm looking at. Yeah, trying to get people to use layers rather than as an easier default thing, as an easier way to separate the drawing out rather than using classes. So that's how we look at this drawing here. Now, that's not, don't get this confused with anything to do with the sheet layers. This is only for if I'm going to draw some staging, like I'm going to put some staging on stage. I might want to get rid of the catwalk structure and the LX and the catwalks. So I'm going to draw on the floor. So I'm just using this in order to make the space easier. I might want to get rid of the tab track as well. So this just gives me a little bit of space, a little bit of breathing space in order to do my design. This will have no effect whatsoever on the sheet layers. Okay, that's one thing I want to get really, really clear at this point. There's my crazy zoom again. So moving on to the sheet layers. So in our drop down section here, we can see the design layers. So the ones, these here match these design layers here. So it's just the same thing. You can click on it and make that active. You can see that the little tick has become active there. Back to the floor again, and the ticks appeared on the floor. The sheet layers are at the top. So there's 1 to 25A1. So nothing that I've done down here in this navigation or up here affects this whatsoever. This is just an A1 blank. If I want to change, this is what I want you to do, the next task. If I want to change what's shown, if I want to send a designer a piece of, a PDF or a printed, let's do the A3 one just now, 150 A3. If I want to send the designer this without the seats in it, I need to click. Now this is, if you remember, this is a sheet layer with a viewport on it. Okay, so the viewport across here, again I'll try and zoom in on this, the viewport has layers and classes in the object info. So when the viewport is highlighted here, the layers that are visible are this selection here. So say I don't want to see the seating, okay, and the viewport will change. I can now file, export that as a PDF. So anything that you want to send to a designer or as a PDF, anything you want to export should be exported from the sheet layers, and you have all the control in the world to put the things back in that you either want or don't want to send to your external. Okay, so what I want you to do, I'll just turn the, I'll leave that on, and turn the LX, the catwalk structure, and the catwalks back off again. What I want you to do is I want you to go into the Chandler. I want you to open up the 1 to 50 A3, and I want you to get rid of the main seating, just like I did there, and then export and send me that PDF. Also, I want you to go into the section and do the same thing. I want to get rid of, I want to see a section, so remember to update it if it's got these kind of chevrons around the outside of it, update it. Because anything that's changed, I need to update. So again, this would just be a case of going in. I'm showing you how to do it, so it can't be that onerous a task. Get rid of the seating, okay. Needs updated because something's changed, update, and I could send a section out with the seating bank gone. Put it back in again, update, seating bank in. So again, so we can manipulate. So that's what I want you to do. Those two things. I want you to send me an A3 with the seating out and the section with the seating out as two separate PDFs to my usual email. If you can do that, you're way ahead of lots and lots of people using the program. This is how we use it. These venues are set up exactly like this to allow you to draw in the design layer, do what you need to do in the design layer. The sheet layers are already set up with some basic, we've got lots of different scales here, so lots and lots of different options. So I constantly get emails of people saying, can you send me the Chandler without the seating bank, please? And you're kind of thinking, you just need to go in to the existing drawing and take it out. As simple as that. It's one click, export the PDF, and you've done it. So if you guys can do it rather than me doing it all the time, that would be awesome. So just to reiterate, I'll put this in text hopefully on the screencast. I want you to send me the A3 without the seats in it and the section without the seats in it as PDFs to my email. That's task 2. And I look forward to receiving them with knotted anticipation. See you next time.